Hi, this is Mrs McTaggart. In this video we're going to be looking at multiplying and dividing integers, or namely multiplying and dividing negative numbers. If you're good at your times table, this will be a breeze. So before I introduce the rules, I always like people to look at the number pattern. So first three sums are all okay: 2 times 2, 2 times 1, 2 times 0. And then I've gone from 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So I've followed the order down the middle, making a pattern. So following the same sequence with the answers, it goes 4, 2, 0. I'm going down by 2 each time. So the next answer here would be negative 2. Helps if my pen's working. And then negative 4, negative 6. Just by taking away 2 each time. Yeah? So then I'll say, well, what does that tell us about multiplying a positive number and a negative number? Look how all of these answers became negative. So a positive and a negative will give you a negative answer. Now this would be the same even if we reversed that first and second column. Let's have a look at this number pattern. So this time I'm timesing everything by negative 2. So here from before is negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times 0 is just 0. This time I'm going up in 2's. So this number would be 2, then 4, then 6. So what does that tell you about when you've got a negative times a negative? All my answers are positive. So there's really these two little rules in maths. When multiplying and dividing, this works for dividing as well. If your signs are the same, i.e. a minus times a minus, or a positive times a positive, then these are going to give you a positive answer. But if you have one of each sign, so if you have either a minus times a positive or a positive times a minus, it doesn't matter which way round it goes, they will give you negative answers. So if your signs are the same, it turns out positive. I talk about the negatives all pairing up together and becoming positive. And if you've got one of each, I then talk about, well, a positive and negative. Negative always trumps positive. It means it's like negative always wins the fight. It always takes over. So one negative in a sum will create a negative answer. Let's go look at some examples. So first one is just 3 times negative 8. So I've got one negative in the question there. So that is negative whatever 3 times 8 is, which we should hopefully know is 24. The second sum has 2 negatives, so negative times a negative, they pair up and turn into a positive, and then whatever 4 times 9 is 36. So we get positive 36. Same rules applies when we're dividing. So in this one we've got 2 negatives when dividing, so they pair up and become positive, and then 20 divided by 4 is just 5. And then on question 4 I've got one of each sign, so negative takes over, and 36 divided by 12 is 3. Right, let's look at a couple more trickier ones. What happens if we have more than 2 terms in the sum? Well, there's 2 different ways to look at it. You could work just left to right, or you could decide the signs first. In this first question, I've got 2 negatives, so they're going to pair up and turn positive. So I'm just left with 4 times 5 times 2, which is 20 times 2, which is 40. Alternatively, if you wanted to do that step by step, you could say, okay, minus 4 times minus 5 turns into positive 20. And then 20 times 2 is still 40. Let's look at the third one. I've got a negative, another negative, and then another negative. So 2 of them are going to pair up, and there's going to be a negative left over. But we'll work through it step by step. Now, when a multiply and a divide come together, the rules of BODMAS don't occur. We just go left to right here. So minus 3 times minus 4, there's your double negative, turning into positive 12. And then divide that by negative 6. You've got a positive and a negative, so negative wins. 12 divided by 6 is 2. But another way to look at it is, you had an odd amount of negatives here, and you had a negative answer. When you had an even amount of negatives, you had a positive answer. Because if there's an even amount of negatives, they're all going to pair up and there's going to be no negatives left. So here's a point where you can go try some for yourself. 3 different styles of questions. We've got easy, medium, and then we've got some really difficult ones there at the end if you want to try them. I always put them up as a wee bit of extension. This is an interesting one, question 23. Minus 2 times minus 2 times minus 2 is the same as minus 2 cubed. And basically because you've got an odd amount of negatives, that will have a negative answer. So watch out for that one. I hope this has helped. If you unpause, your answers. And thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.